Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care so that you can make informed decisions, have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. In the last blog, I talked about 5 ways of transforming the negativity of the intensive care team into positive energy. You can check out the last blog by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's blog, I want to talk about why doctors in intensive care ask you to agree to do the unthinkable. Before I get into today's topic, I want to share a quote with you from Sigmund Freud, the famous psychologist. And Sigmund, during his lifetime, made quite an astonishing observation that reflects on what many families in intensive care and myself observe over and over again. So the quote goes like this: "Most important of all, it is impossible to overlook the extent to which civilization is built up upon a renunciation of instinct, how much it presupposes precisely the non-satisfaction of powerful instincts." So this quote is from Sigmund Freud from the book Civilization and its Discontents. Now, if you think about it, survival is a powerful instinct, probably the most powerful of all instincts. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you in a video in this blog post, and you wouldn't be watching it. It's as simple as that. You and I wouldn't be here today if you and my ancestors hadn't survived, often against many odds. So let's get into today's topic. Many families in intensive care come to IntensiveCareHotline.com because they have a loved one critically ill in intensive care, and they feel pressured by the intensive care team to agree to a withdrawal of treatment as being quote unquote in the best interest for their critically ill loved one. Most families in intensive care who feel that kind of pressure are often lost for words, and they say things like, "The doctors ask us to agree to do the unthinkable." Or they say things like, "The doctors ask us to agree to kill my mom, dad, son, daughter, sister, brother, you name them." I'm sure by now you get the gravity of the situation, what I'm talking about. And I'm sure you get how families feel if they are in a position where they feel pressured to make life or death decisions, or where they feel they are pressured to agree to end the life of their mum, dad, sister, brother, son, daughter, you name them. Now, 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care make no informed decisions. They have no peace of mind, no control, no power, and no influence. Therefore, 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care are at the mercy of the intensive care team if they don't start asking the right questions, if they don't do their own research, and if they continue to feel intimidated by the perceived power and the perceived authority of the intensive care team. Especially when families in intensive care are feeling pressured to quote unquote agree to do the unthinkable, it's time to step up, get out of your comfort zone, and make sure that you can and will make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence, so that you and your family are not falling prey to the intensive care team's hidden agenda and to the things that are happening behind the scenes in intensive care. But it's then also time to follow your instincts and not deny them. Because just like Sigmund Freud said almost a century ago, The intensive care team is building a case that's based upon a renunciation of your and your family's instinct, and that just ain't gonna work. Therefore, don't renounce your instincts. Now, the number of phone calls and emails we get from families in intensive care telling us, my mum, dad, husband, wife, sister, brother, son or daughter, and you name them, is in intensive care, and the doctors are putting pressure on us to agree to pull the plug. And that number of phone calls and emails is ever increasing. Another statement that we often hear from families as well is, as I said in the beginning, the doctors are asking us to agree to do the unthinkable. Here's another statement that we also hear quite frequently. The doctors are asking us to agree to kill our mum, dad, husband, wife, sister, brother, son, daughter, again, you name them. You can take any variation of that. It all comes down to families not wanting to agree to do the unthinkable, or to agree to do the unthinkable. It also comes down to families in intensive care following their instincts, their gut feeling and their intuition. The 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care who don't make informed decisions, don't have peace of mind, don't have power, don't have control, and don't have any influence whatsoever. They have renounced their instincts, and they have succumbed to the perceived power and the perceived authority of the intensive care team. Period. One of the biggest frustrations for families in intensive care, and I think frustrations is an understatement in this context, is that they are confronted with a negative intensive care team who's basically putting pressure on families to agreeing to pull the plug or withdraw treatment on one of their dearly loved family members. The good news is that once families have contacted us either via phone or via email here at intensivecarehotline.com, we know we can help them very, very quickly, because they have already identified themselves as wanting to be in the tiny 1% brackets of families in intensive care who want to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence, and they haven't renounced their instincts and survival mode. We already know that if you call us or email us, that you and your family won't take no for an answer, and we know that you are not intimidated by the perceived power and the perceived authority of the intensive care team. And if you still are, we can help you take those next steps to get into your own power, and we can help you very quickly, challenging any negative assumptions of the intensive care team, ensuring that your critically ill loved one will get the best shot at their care and their treatment, no matter how difficult you perceive the circumstances to be. And we can also help you very quickly distinguishing if your critically ill loved one is in a real or in a perceived end-of-life situation. You may also want to check out another video and article about the difference between real and perceived end-of-life situations when your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Most families in intensive care have a gut feeling or intuition to know if their critically ill loved one is going to survive or not, and you should trust that feeling. And if you do trust that feeling, you are acknowledging and following your instincts and not renounce them. Most families in intensive care know how their critically ill loved one responds to extreme adversity, life challenges, and they know it much better than any of the members of the intensive care team. The intensive care team looks at your critically ill loved one as a case, or as a patient, or even as a number. For them, your mum, your dad, your husband, your wife, your sister, your brother, your son, your daughter, your grandfather, your grandmother, etc., etc., is just another one of those hundreds or sometimes thousands of patients in intensive care they see every year, day in and day out in their work. The intensive care team is looking for solutions to manage their units, to manage their beds, to manage their financial budget, manage their hierarchies, their politics, their staff, their medical research interests, whilst also trying to manage their patients. You and your family, on the other hand, are trying to find solutions to save your mums, your dads, your husbands, your wives, etc., or your sons or your daughter's life, and get the best possible outcome for them. Basically, there's often two worlds clashing here, with the quote-unquote all-important and all-powerful intensive care team trying to manage and achieve their hidden agenda, and you and your family wanting to get the best outcome and most of all survival for your mum, for your dad, for your husband, for your wife, for your brother, for your sister, for your granddad, for your grandmom, and so forth. So the hidden agenda of the intensive care team against your survival mode and survival instinct, and it's a clash of two worlds. And after nearly 20 years intensive care nursing experience in 3 different countries, where I literally worked with thousands of critically ill patients and their families, where I have also worked as a nurse unit manager for over 5 years, and with now daily counselling and consulting families in intensive care on a one-on-one basis here at intensivecarehotline.com, I know intensive care, the dynamics and the games intensive care teams play inside out, so that I can leverage that knowledge to successfully advocate for you, for your family, and for your critically ill loved one here at intensivecarehotline.com, and help you get the results very, very quickly that you want, need, and deserve for your critically ill loved one's future and for your family's future, most of all. So, here at intensivecarehotline.com, we don't renounce basic survival instincts. If anything, we help you to step into your own power, and we help you to get the outcomes and results that you know you want, need, and deserve. No matter if your critically ill loved one is either in the following situations: they're either very unstable and in a very critical condition, or they're in a life-threatening situation, or they're not waking up after an induced coma, or they're in intensive care for long-term treatments and long-term stays, including long-term ventilation, or your loved one may be having a severe or traumatic head or brain injury, or your loved one may be threatened with an NFR, not for resuscitation, or DNR, do not resuscitate order, or your loved one may be in a situation where the intensive care team suggests that a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation of treatment might be, quote-unquote, in the best interest for your critically ill loved one. Or your critically ill loved one may even be approaching their end of life in intensive care. And if the intensive care team wants to put pressure on you during those situations, where they want you to agree to do the unthinkable, to pull the plug, or to withdraw treatment, you know you've got a problem where you need professional help and professional advocacy. You know you need somebody who can talk to and negotiate with an intensive care team that's used to getting what they want. You know that you need someone who speaks their language and who can advocate on your behalf, because we can negotiate with intensive care teams on their level, eye to eye, so to speak. We can successfully advocate on your behalf, and we get results, care and treatment very, very quickly, because we can help you position your critically ill loved one's diagnosis, their prognosis, as well as their care and their treatment, to give them the best shot at life there ever is. No renouncing of your or your critically ill loved one's survival instincts. We speak the language of intensive care teams. We understand their pressures. We understand what's being discussed behind closed doors, away from you and your family. For intensive care teams only to come out and position pulling the plug and withdrawing treatment or withdrawing life support as in your loved one's quote-unquote best interest. renouncing every survival instinct there is. We can help you with that. So, how can you become the best advocate for your critically ill loved one, make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence quickly once your loved one is critically ill in intensive care? You get to that all-important feeling of making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence when you download your free instant impact report now by entering your email below. In your free instant impact report, you learn quickly how to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, real power and real control, and how you can influence decision making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free instant impact report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free instant impact report now by entering your email below. In your free instant impact report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions. Discover the many competing interests in intensive care and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests. How to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You get 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence in your situation. You'll get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You'll get crucial behind-the-scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's blog, and I'll see you again in another update next week. Make sure you also check out our Your Questions Answered section where I answer your questions, or simply send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions, or you can call me. Find international phone numbers on our contacts tab. Also, check out our ebook section where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one counselling and consulting with me via Skype, over the phone and via email by clicking on the email and phone counselling and consulting tabs on the top of the website. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.